Hello everyone and welcome back to Just Finish Coding. I'm Sriram and this video is part 3 of our Geometry Dash game which we're making on Scratch 3. Now in part 1 and part 2 we made sure to add in the scrolling background and the scrolling floor. In this video what we'll be doing is we'll add in the scrolling platforms, the visible obstacles and also the invisible obstacles. Now in case you've not watched part 1 and 2, I will leave a card for you right here just in case you've not done so. So let's continue. I'm going to click on the platforms and let's start this off in a very similar manner to how we did the floors. So we can just drag and drop this go to coordinates into the platforms and this should make it pretty easy for us to continue. I'm also going to drag and drop this entire tick message because that's going to be the exact same thing in the platform and also for the visible and invisible obstacles. So you can either drag and drop that right away or just wait until we're done with the platforms and then we can do the same. I'm going to do it that way. So after we're done getting these two things, what we can do is do pretty much the same thing as the flows, and that is start with the when I receive init, and I'm going to set up a couple of variables. So now we already have our x and y, so I guess we don't really have to set up anything if you've thrown this code. So let's start. First of all, we'll make sure to delete every single clone that exists when we receive the init message. So have a repeat one and then say delete this clone. Once you're done with that, we can hide this particular sprite. And what we need to do after that is to switch the costume to the very first costume. And it's very important you do this because if you don't, then the whole next costume part is just going to end up blowing in our faces. So what we can do after we switch costume to 1 is make sure our x and y values are set properly. In this case, what I'm going to do is set both x and y to be 0 since everything is centered perfectly and we want this to exist this very way in the stage. So we don't really want to move anything, just set x and y to 0. And let's also set the clone variable. Maybe I'll do that in the start. Set the clone variable to no because this is the sprite. Set the clone variable to yes because we're going to start creating the clones now. And once we're done creating the clones, we can set the clone variable to no to make sure that the sprite itself doesn't do anything. So now we can create the clones. So grab a repeat from the control section and we'll basically need 16 repeats. So it's 16 different clones and you can see that from our costumes, right? We have 16 different costumes and hence we need 16 clones. So within each of this, what we'll do is say create clone of ourselves and then we'll basically switch the costume. So say next costume and then we also need to switch the X position because if we don't, then all the clones are going to be stuck together. So say change X by not 1 but 480, which is the width of our screen. And once we're done with this entire process, like I mentioned, what we'll do is just set the clone variable to be no, and hence because of this the sprite isn't going to do anything with this if loop when we receive tick every single time. And that's pretty much it. So now if we do hit the green flag, at this point we don't really have any platforms, but you can start to see that this whole platform starts to show up when the costumes are prevalent. So we have all of this happening and our flying flow starts right away. Now remember, if we don't have this whole thing with regard to our platforms, and let's just say I remove all of this, when we do press the green flag we have nothing and eventually the flow stops right before we switch to the flying flows. And the reason we didn't see the flow stop when we had all this code set up was because the platform started at this very point. And you could see that if you tried again. I'm not going to do it since I already showed it once and this video is timed, so I will want to finish as much as I can. But you can try this out multiple times to see the difference. Now let's get into the visible obstacles and the invisible obstacles, and both of them are piece of cake since we can just drag and drop all of this code right in there and that's pretty much it. I mean, we don't have to do anything, we just can drag and drop it. So I'm going to head there and I'm going to center the code because right now it's a pretty big mess. So the init message is going to be here and the tick message is going to be here. So everything's going to be pretty much the same including repeat 16 because I've made sure the clone numbers are the same just so that we can maximize efficiency in while recording, while we are making the game. So now once again you can drag and drop all of this code to the invisible obstacles as well, but there is a crucial difference here. So what you can do here is just look at the costumes once and you'd start to see that we just have some lines at some seemingly strange positions. Now what we're really doing is we're making sure that our visible obstacles or rather our platforms are hit when, when we are hitting the side. So let me just go to the platform once, and let me just put this third platform in our backdrop. So right now my backdrop is empty. I will put that in my backdrop and I will load this back in the visible obstacles. So I will put this right here, and you'd have to, wait to see what's happening for a second. Okay, so let me drag this right up, and remember that this is the third one. It's just numbered to 17 here because we're basically switching, and it had the same name. But when we get it up here, you can see that this little pink line which we have here, or the pink rectangle, whichever way you want to think about it, matches correctly with this particular point in our platform. So it's at this point. So basically when the player hits that pink rectangle or pink line, then it's going to detect a collision. And the reason we have a separate collision for the side of the invisible, or for the side of the platform, is because in case the player hits the platform from the top, then we basically want the platform to stay afloat, and there is going to be no collision in that case. We just want the player to be able to move along smoothly. But if he hits him from the side, then we want the player to explode, and hence this sprite is extremely crucial. Now I hope I explained that. In case I didn't, just comment down below and I will try my best to help you out. But I'm hoping you guys got the point, and all we need to do here is just add in a set ghost effect to 100. Because we don't really want these lines to be seen, and in case they are seen, they're going to look pretty odd. So we'd want them to be shown, but we'd want them to be transparent, and hence the player can't see them, but the collisions still happen. And that's pretty much it. Now if we do hit the green flag here, you'd start to see that all the obstacles start showing up, and the game already looks like a fully set up course. And what we really have left within the course are the trampolines, and I believe the flying changes. Basically, this little sprite where in case the player hits it, he switches into flying mode. But that's pretty much it. I mean, the rest of the game looks pretty damn good, and in the next couple of videos we'll be switching the background in accordance to the mode of the game, and we'll also be making sure that we have our player movement set up, because at this point the game is pretty bland since our player is just stationary at the right hand corner. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.